Hello everyone, Digital Ben back with you once again inside the Digital Den for part 4 of our intro to 3D printing. In this we will be talking about the ways to clean up your prints after they have finished printing to be able to give you exactly what you want and what you originally wanted to print, right? So if you had not watched parts 1 through 3 yet, make sure that you go back. We've got either a card for the in the top corner for part 3, or if you check in the description, you can watch 1, 2, and 3 respectively on there. Or if you're watching on Facebook, you can just click through the playlist to be able to get to an earlier video that way as well. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get things started here. First, I'm going to be showing you the different tools that you will need to be able to clean up your prints after they finish printing, as well as a couple of different examples that you could probably see right here in front of me, some of which look scarier than other things, but I'll show you what they are in time. So first things first, let's talk about the tools. So all 3 of these tools that I have right here are basically the exact same tool. These are the tools that you will use to be able to get the 3D print off of the bed that we talked about, to be able to handle it once again after it has finished printing. The longer that you wait after it has finished printing, the more time that it's allowed to cool, and the easier that it's ultimately going to be able to get it off the bed. Whenever the bed is, the temperature is, it's anywhere between 55 and 65 degrees Celsius at the time of printing, and so shortly after it's finished printing, it's still really hot, and so it's still kind of sticky, and so it's difficult to be able to get it off. So sometimes just waiting will make it easier for these guys to be able to get those prints off for you. But once you've got it off, then you've got a couple of tools here. We've got a little scalpel sort of deal for some fine precision cutting, and my personal favorite tool here. We've got some very small clips right here that can assist us in removing all kinds of different pieces of excess on our 3D prints. So let's talk about some different ways that we could have printed our 3D prints and what tools might come in handy for cleaning these prints up. First things first, we've got this unicorn right here. This flexible unicorn printed all on its own. Yes, it printed all flexible like this. It came out like this, and you'll see a little bit of imperfection here. We've got a little bit of hairs kind of splitting. I don't know if you can see that. But there's a little bit of stringiness that has come off in a couple of areas here. That's fairly normal. Every once in a while, things like that will happen. It's pretty easy to clean up. Sometimes even just with your fingers, you can be able to tear off some of that. You can see I'm cleaning up most of it right now. This is my personal favorite tool, so I will come in here and I will get nice and precise in there to be able to get some of the fraying off on there like that, and already it looks quite a bit better. I'll probably go back through and clean this up a little bit more, but already you can kind of see the unicorn looks already pretty much ready to play with, as this is a print for one of our younger patrons. Okay, so that's the unicorn, and one of the other things that I wanted to mention about this is that it required no brim to be able to successfully print. No skirt, no brim, no outer edge to be able to help it stick to the bed there, because when it printed, it laid flat like this, and because it is such a wide print, it had a lot for the bed to be able to grip onto in printing, so it didn't slide all over the place. Okay. Our next print here, we have a little shoe keychain here, some Air Jordans. It's already, the bed has fallen off on its own, which is good. That's kind of what you want. Not the bed, the brim has fallen off on its own, but it printed like this, if you can see that. It's basically the brim was sitting around the outside there just to give that bed a little bit of additional gripping. And outside of that, it didn't require any additional supports, which is really nice because that's the hardest part, spoiler alert, to be able to clean up. So essentially, when it comes to that brim, all that you'll need to do is basically kind of rip that off. And if you've got any excess, that's on there, some filaments come off a lot easier than others, and so you can just take your scissors, or if you want to get more precise, take that blade to be able to get kind of around the edge to make sure that you've got you know, some fine markings on that print there. But like I said, this one came out pretty well, or fine edges around that print. Anyway, this one came out pretty well, so I'm pretty happy about that. But it definitely needed this brim around the outside, because you're probably wondering what this pile of goop is. Now, this is what I call a hardcore failure. This was supposed to be this, but because it didn't have that brim around the outside, the bed just could not handle the tiny footprint of this shoe. And so filament just started spurting all over the place. And so I let it go for just a little bit to you know, have a visual example of it. But I normally would stop it immediately and be like, oh gosh, I need to, you know, work on that print again. And put either some supports on there or put a brim on the outside to be able to give some additional stability to this print. Because obviously this is not what you want in any case. It's a waste of filament. And it can not damage your 3D printer necessarily, but definitely cause it to do some cleaning, use some cleaning, because the filament can gunk up inside the nozzle, and it'll just, all of your upcoming 3D prints will be gold like these, even if you switch out the color, because it'll get all gunked up in there, and you'll have to do some cleaning, which is no fun, right? So that's the importance of the brim around the outside. All right, now we have got ourselves another print for a patron here, and this one is going to be pretty difficult to be able to get cleaned up here. That is because we've got a lot of supports going on for this print. Now, I'm going to switch to another view, and we're going to talk more about this print here and why it's so difficult and why it looks like this here in just a moment. All right, really quickly jumping over to my computer over here. This is just a real quick example of what the print is supposed to ultimately look like there. This is something called a Gamera, I think is the way that it is pronounced. A patron has requested this specific print. Now, this is obviously, you know, as you saw earlier in the video, you know, going to be difficult to be able to print without supports, as there's not, I mean, there's a lot that is sticking out over the base. You know, I'm talking about this section, if you can see my mouse pointer here, you know, I'm talking about the head and the arms stick out beyond the base of the figurine. And so I provided some supports in there. So if I click on preview, you can see what that was what I always knew it was going to look like, and actually a pretty good representation of that. Looks just like this on the 3D print. So I just wanted to quickly show you what it was supposed to look like there, so that you could get an idea of hopefully what it will look like when I try to clean these up. But you know, I gave the thought to try to reposition this, but unfortunately, I mean, even if I tilted it completely, you know, downward, like, I don't know, maybe like this, it's just not, there's just no angle that is going to provide better support than the originally intended one here with his feet on the bottom. So, all right, let's go ahead and see if we can clean this up to be able to get this out there to that patron in need. All right, we are back once again here with a little bit of a closer look here on our Gamera. That we are going to try our best to be able to clean up here as a demonstration of some of our tools. I've got this upside down notebook that I've put here just in case I need something to be able to use my my blade here with. We will, let's go ahead and get things started here, trying to cut this thing up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to remove the brim around the outside. That's usually what I always do first. So I'm just going to peel that off, and it usually comes off pretty easy, like I was saying, like that shoe we were talking about earlier, the Air Jordan, that actually, it basically fell off completely without me having to try anything, which was kind of nice. But yeah, for the most part, that brim was able to come off pretty easily. But as you can see, we've got quite a bit of supports that we need to be able to get off here to be able to make it so that this figurine is going to be usable by our requested patron. So I can't guarantee necessarily that it's going to be a success, but I'm darn sure going to try, you know? So let's go ahead and give things a try here. First, I'm going to go for this one in the middle. that is attached to only his head up here. I'm obviously not going to cut his head off, but but I am going to try to get pretty close with the supports there to be able to get off as much of that as I can. And the supports, as thin as they are, I mean, I only print them at like 20%, but that still is enough to be able to be on the harder side to be able to get through sometimes. It just really depends. Alrighty, I was able to peel off a little bit of that. It breaks pretty easily, but what we don't want is we don't want for our print to be able to break. So it takes a little bit of finesse that I can be honest and tell you that I sometimes don't have. It is, there's a lot of hand-eye coordination and dexterity with cleaning up prints. And one of my coworkers, who's on vacation right now, is actually much better at this than I. And so I don't know. I sometimes just I'm a little rough with them sometimes, but sometimes it feels like you kind of have to be able to get the little pieces off here to be able to get through everything. Okay. Hi, everybody. Once again, jumping ahead in here, I'm still working on cleaning up this, I guess with this camera, webcam here, you can't quite see. I'm still working on cleaning up the this figurine here. I haven't broken it, so I'm hoping that this will be a successful job. This isn't typically the type of figurine that I would recommend, you know, because of those things that we've talked about throughout this course here in knowing, you know, what would be a good print on the printers that we have. And it's things that like have a good solid base, that don't have like hanging down parts, that don't have anything below it, or have any parts that are like hanging over with nothing below it. Things like that are going to be great. And other printers like a resin printer would probably be a better, you know, a better job for, do a better job of something like this. But that doesn't mean I'm not going to try my best to be able to get it done. So thank you so much for watching this and all of my other videos on 3D printing. If you have any other questions about 3D printing, please do not hesitate to stop by the Digital Den here at the Kokomo-Howard County Public Library, located downtown at the main branch on the second floor. That big glass enclosed room is the Digital Den. Stop on in during our open hours to be able to ask me whatever questions you have about 3D printing, and I'd be happy to answer those for you and any other questions you have. And until then, we will see you in the next video that we've got a new theme for the videos coming out in the month of August. So stick around, back again with another video, 6 p.m. on Monday. And we'll see you in the next one. So long.